Karoline Leavitt. The left pretends to be a champion of women until they find one who is a conservative.
That Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists.
Karoline Leavitt's shocking statement on The View did the unthinkable. It ended the show. What happened in that live moment that caused the downfall? Was it just another controversial comment or something much bigger? The tension built up to this explosive moment, changing everything in an instant. What caused this unexpected collapse of daytime television's staple?
Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table.
The controversy began like any typical episode of The View. The panel, consisting of Whoopi, Joy, Sarah, and the rest, engaged in their usual back-and-forth discussions. The studio buzzed with excitement, the audience eagerly awaiting the latest round of debates. Then, Karoline Leavitt, the newest guest on the panel, took her turn at the mic.
That's what the Democrats do. They can't stand on policy or solutions, so they attack you with personal smears. But it's not just the Democrats in this race, Tucker, that are attacking me.
With a calm and collected demeanor, Karoline began speaking. Her voice steady, she shared her thoughts on the current political climate. But then, she delivered a shocking statement that stunned everyone in the room. Frankly, I think the media has been lying to the American people about what's really happening in this country, she said, her words hanging heavily in the air. And it's time we face the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it might be.
That you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason.
The room went silent. Whoopi Goldberg's eyes widened in disbelief. Joy Behar's expression shifted to one of pure shock. It was clear the entire panel had not expected this level of bluntness. The audience sat frozen, unsure whether to applaud or recoil. What happened next was unprecedented. Without warning, the cameras cut to a commercial break. This wasn't the usual routine interruption. It was abrupt, jarring, and completely unscheduled. The screens went black, leaving viewers in stunned silence.
The ever-empowering feminist, Joy herself, everyone. And this is why, of course, she's on The View and not working for the most powerful man in the world.
When the cameras returned, there was no warning. It wasn't a pre-recorded segment. It was just tension. Karoline's mic was still hot, the studio audience was there, and all eyes were fixed on her. What would happen next?
I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
Whoopi Goldberg broke the silence. Her voice low, controlled, almost as if trying to keep the storm from breaking loose. "Do you even realize what you just said?" she asked Karoline. But Karoline, calm as ever, stared right back at her. "Yes, Whoopi, I do, and I stand by it," she replied, her tone unwavering. Whispers of disbelief echoed around the set, the audience unsure of how to process what they were hearing. Someone even shouted from the crowd, "That's insane!" But Karoline? She didn't flinch. Not an inch.
Because Karoline would wipe the floor with you bitter banshees any day.
She leaned in closer, her eyes locking with Whoopi's, and then she dropped the bomb. "The problem is, you don't like hearing the truth." That was it. The moment that crossed the line. No more tiptoeing around issues. This was an all-out battle now. The fallout from Karoline Leavitt's shocking statement was immediate and intense. As soon as she finished speaking, the panel exploded in anger and disbelief. Joy Behar slammed her hands on the table, her face contorted in frustration. Sarah Haynes shook her head, unable to process what had just happened. Sunny Hostin, typically calm and composed, was visibly rattled. No, you don't get to sit there and act like..." She started, but Karoline, unshaken, swiftly interrupted her.
Yeah,
Guys,
thanks.
let's act like adults here. They are generously offering their time to answer your questions. You don't need to scream at them like a bunch of school children. Ouija, go ahead.
Thank you very much.
"I do get to sit here. That's why you invited me. Or did you only want me here if I played along?" Karoline retorted boldly, escalating the tension in the room. The audience was equally divided. Half cheered while the other half booed, and some even stood up, mesmerized by the heated exchange unfolding live. The tension in the studio was palpable, with history being made right before their eyes.
You know what? She may be a 10, but she didn't get the job because of her looks, and anyone who has observed her at a briefing can figure that out for themselves.
On social media, the uproar was just as fierce. The View was trending across Twitter and Instagram with the hashtag #cancel. The View quickly gained momentum. ABC's live stream chat was flooded with comments, and viewers couldn't stop discussing the shocking turn of events. Inside the studio, Whoopi Goldberg leaned in, her voice low and cautious. "You're playing a dangerous game, Karoline." But Karoline didn't flinch. She shot back, a sly smile on her face. "Or maybe I just know how to win."
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary.
Moments later, the cameras cut to another unscheduled commercial break. The producers were scrambling to regain control, but the damage was already done. The View would never be the same again. The moment The View went dark, the internet erupted. Headlines like "Police cars," "Revolving lights," and "The View's final days" spread quickly, and ABC executives scrambled into crisis mode. Calls from sponsors flooded in, with many questioning whether the damage could be undone. Inside the network, the crisis team raced against time, but the story had already gone public, spiraling beyond their control. Karoline Leavitt had won the moment, no more words needed. As chaos unfolded in the studio, she walked off the set with a smirk, fully aware she had shifted the narrative. Now, everyone else was left trying to contain the fallout.
But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years. They likened President Trump to Hitler.
Behind the scenes, the panic continued. Whoopi removed her earpiece, shaking her head in disbelief. Joy, who was usually calm in these situations, was pacing, muttering under her breath. Producers were in crisis mode, making calls to figure out what had just happened and how to handle it. Backstage, Karoline was calm, cool, confident. She walked through the hallways like someone who knew she had just made a monumental impact. Some crew members whispered as she passed. Others avoided her gaze. There was no denying it now. She had made history.
But my point is that job would not maybe have been open to her.
No, I understand. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the executives were frantically trying to put out the fire. Could they fix it? Could they make this go away before it became irreparable? It was too late. The damage wasn't just bad press. It was financial, it was structural, and it was permanent. Back at home, the public couldn't get enough. A new hashtag emerged, #BoycottTheView. Thousands of fans, former viewers, were declaring they were done with the show. "I've watched for years, but this is it. If they can't handle the truth, then they don't deserve our ratings," one fan posted.
Democrats in the media are now unloading all their nasty attacks on rising Trump White House star and new press secretary, Karoline Leavitt.
The hits just kept coming. Major pharmaceutical companies started pulling their ad dollars. Fashion brands followed suit. By the end of the day, several high-profile sponsors had officially distanced themselves from the show. ABC was losing revenue fast. Inside their boardrooms, executives were divided. One side wanted to fix it, damage control, PR firms, a public apology. But the other side, they saw the writing on the wall. It was over. At 9:42 p.m., ABC's PR team issued a statement. "We are aware of the events that took place on today's live broadcast of The View. We take these matters seriously and are currently reviewing all circumstances surrounding the incident."
Well, ABC News has agreed to settle a defamation lawsuit that Donald Trump filed against them. The network will pay Trump $15 million, which will go towards his presidential library.
The damage had already been done. Sponsors had pulled out, viewers had spoken, and they were done. The View's legacy was hanging by a thread. The next morning, the hosts arrived at the studio, surrounded by media, microphones in their faces, and reporters shouting questions. Whoopi was asked, "Do you regret how you handled it?" Joy was asked, "Will you apologize?" The questions were endless, and the tension was palpable. Inside the studio, the mood was far worse.
Today, when those comments got passed around, even Whoopi Goldberg could not agree with the outlandish remark of Joy Behar.
Executives gathered for an emergency meeting. The decision was made. The View would continue airing, but with restrictions. No mention of Karoline Leavitt. No discussion of the incident. It was a media blackout. But something felt wrong. The spark, the chemistry, everything was gone. Then, just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, a breaking news ticker flashed across the screen. The View on the verge of cancellation.
When they realize that tens of millions of Americans do not listen to the lies that they have spewed, these women are completely out of touch with reality.
And for the first time in its long history, The View was no longer in control of the narrative. It was over. Or was it? The drama wasn't over for Karoline Leavitt. Behind the scenes, she was carefully calculating her next move. Her phone was flooded with calls, messages, and interview requests from major news outlets. But Karoline wasn't in a hurry to respond. She knew the moment would come, just not yet.
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way.
At 9 p.m., she dropped a tweet that sent the internet into a frenzy. "The truth always wins. Stay tuned." The comment sent shockwaves across social media, and speculation started almost immediately. Was Karoline planning to start her own show? Was she about to expose what really went on behind the scenes at The View? Or did she have secret, leaked footage that could change everything?
We are not going to allow rogue bureaucrats in this city to obstruct the will of the American people.
The questions flooded in, but one thing was clear. Karoline Leavitt wasn't done, and the world was eager for what would come next. The fallout from that explosive moment on The View was only the beginning. Want to stay on top of all the latest updates, insider details, and exclusive stories? Don't miss out. Subscribe to Celeb Titbits for the latest in celebrity news, behind-the-scenes drama, and the hottest topics everyone's talking about. And be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments. What do you think Karoline's next move will be?